Hello, hello. This is Kara in Boston, and I am coming to you live for my 5 minute live today. It is one Boston day. It is April the 15th here in Boston, and this is the day that we remember the lives that we lost, and just everything that happened, not just the lives that we lost, but all the tragedy that ensued on the day of the Boston Marathon bombing. It's been 10 years. I cannot believe it's been 10 years since the bombing happened. And for those of you who don't know, I was there at the marathon for the event. Somebody I actually knew a couple of people who were running in the race that day, and I was actually very grateful. I say to this still to this day that Joey McIntyre saved my life. And if you don't know who he is one of the new kids on the block. He was running the race that day. I was a pretty big blockhead at the time. I'm not as much anymore. Just kind of something that's faded out of my routine. But at the time, I was a big blockhead. He was running the race to support Alzheimer's because of his mom had passed from his mom has passed from Alzheimer's. And so we were there cheering him on. We happened to be located at the sorry, this is hard, even 10 years later. We were located at the finish line directly across from the forum, which is no longer there, which ultimately was the location of the second explosion. Um, I haven't talked about this in a long time. I'm sorry. Joe had crossed the finish line, and so some girlfriends of mine and I had decided to head down towards where the athletes would go to like meet friends and family and things like that. We were like friends, so I don't want to oversell that, but we went down along the finish line and realized that I take that back. We were going to go to the hotel, what's the name of the hotel right there? We were going to go get a drink, a celebratory drink. And we went down to the entrance of the hotel down there, and we were not able to get in. The entrance was closed off because that's where all the bleachers and things were for the actual finish line. We were just ahead of it. So we decided to turn around. We went back to where we were, and then because that was the nearest cross street, and we turned to go behind the hotel to see if we could go find the waiting area and see if maybe we could get around that direction. And that is when the first explosion happened. That explosion was at the finish line, closer to the finish line itself, and we kind of stopped, and it was hard to kind of know what to think at the moment. The sound was unusual, and of course you're not expecting it to happen. And my thought was there had been right where we turned the building right. Let me see if I can explain this. So the finish line is here, and we were on the right side. So the racers were going, we were looking out. The racers were going on our left. So we headed down to the hotel, couldn't get in, turned back around, went back. So then we turned away from the race, the race course, and then we were going to go around to the left to try to make our way around that way. The building to the right of that, as we were walking, there's two big cranes. They were doing some construction there, so there's two really, really big cranes. And in the past, we've had like cranes fall and break and things like, and that's what I thought it was. I thought as we had turned the corner to go around the back of the building, I thought one of the cranes had fallen and broken. So I had turned around to look, and they weren't. They were still there. So that was kind of the confusion. And if I can't remember if we started to walk back that way, thinking what had happened, and people started coming out towards us. And so then we were like, what's going on? What's going on? And at that moment, we said, well, let's turn back around. We weren't really sure. And that's when the second explosion happened, which had been, again, like I said, right across. There was a Starbucks there in the forum. I have video because I was, of course, waiting for him to finish, and the finish line video. And I didn't even realize where once I had found out later down the line where the explosion had happened, that's where I realized, oh my gosh, we were literally looking at that spot. I mean, I don't know who was at that location, who was affected, versus who was at the first, as far as the deaths are concerned. But I I was shocked to find out that that's how close we were. And with the loss and the shrapnel, and I don't know what could have happened. I don't. I mean, I say he saved my life in the sense that I didn't have to witness it visually, but most of it we did. After the second explosion happened, it was at that crossroad. So then, of course, people from there were filing out because that was the quickest way to get off the course, was that street. And so they were coming up. And then as we were walking towards where we thought Joe might be, to like, because we didn't know he was down close to the finish line. That's where the first explosion happened. We didn't know where he was. So we thought, did something, we don't know. So we started to walk down that way. And all of the ambulances started coming, and people were being rushed out. It was not a great thing to witness. And surprisingly enough, we were at the corner. The Westin was right across the street, and the Fogo de Chão is part of the Westin Hotel. And so that was like right behind where I think like the library is, right on that corner, and that's where the staging area was. And then we saw they get these blankets, these kind of silver warming blankets once they finish the sorry, Reese, I have money in my boob. And we saw Joe. Of all the people to see, we saw him, and we yelled for him, and he came over and just gave us the biggest hug. And he was like, I'm looking for my dad. So we're like, let's go help him find Joe Sr. Well, so we did find him, and they went, I believe, into the hotel. We then got taken into the Fogo de Chão. It was kind of like everybody had to like go inside. And so we were in the Fogo de Chão restaurant, like the bar area, from the time, I think it was about 2, almost 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I think they finally let us go at 8 or 9 o'clock. Everything shut down in the city. Transportation shut down. Everything shut down. At one point, the police went into the building straight across. This was all glass, and there was a hotel across, and the police had gone in there thinking there was another, because we didn't know how many bombs were going off. And watching the news in there, and they finally did say what was going on. I believe I did get interviewed on the news. I don't remember a lot of it. It was a very confusing time. After that, I couldn't go down and be in crowds. I think we won something. It was, I think we won the World Series, or like one of our sports teams won something, and they do the duck boat, and it's right down on that same street. And I tried to go down and couldn't handle it. And for a very long time, anytime I heard sirens, that would just make me, like I would get goosebumps, my skin would crawl. But the biggest effect for me is the PTSD of sounds behind me. And so now my poor friend Tina, who came out as my roommate shortly after that, we had gone to a New Kids concert, and not having been to a concert yet, and where we were sitting, it didn't occur to me, because I hadn't experienced any of the PTSD symptoms yet. So we went to the concert, we're sitting at the concert. There was a very loud explosion with some pyrotechnics, and I just disappeared. She's like, you were there, and then I looked over and you were gone. I don't have any memory of it. I think I dropped down under the table. There was like these bar seats that we were at. I don't actually remember what happened. Eventually I got up, I guess, and then I realized, oh, this is going to be a problem. And for 10 years now, I have been dealing with Any loud noises behind me, a balloon popping, a gunshot, which sounds weird, but somebody dropping something, like anything like that will affect. Dog barking, like it's really weird. It has gotten better over the years. It used to just paralyze me. There's fight, flight, or freeze. That's like the deer in the headlights thing. Is I equate it to a deer in the headlights. I would I would hear the noise, I would have a reaction, and I physically couldn't move. I would be frozen in place, and I would just stay like that. And it was such a weird feeling that I would clamp down and I wouldn't be able to move. And then eventually I would start to it would start to release. It would be like I got so tense that I physically couldn't move. And now it doesn't happen as often, and it doesn't happen as strongly as it has in the past. So, every year it gets a little bit easier. Although I haven't had any real big triggers lately, but there have been a couple of times or something, like even like my neighbors, they slam the door loud enough and it triggers me. I will jump. I will let out an audible kind of scream, I guess, or a yelp, whatever you want to call it. You'd have to just hear it, I guess. And I still do that to this day. I still have that reaction to noises. And I think the last time it happened, oddly enough, was at Disney, and somebody, weirdest thing, walking down the street, not expecting it, somebody took a trash bag. I guess something had happened on the ground, took a trash bag and went to do one of those like things where they let the air into the trash bag. But the sound of it, and when it happened, like right as I had walked by, just boom. I mean, I was okay. Like I said, I'm getting better now. I don't freeze as greatly. I do tense up, and I do make a noise. But I don't have as much of the freeze reaction going on that I used to, which is, I'm grateful. But so today is one Boston Day, and it is the day that we remember, and that we also do kindness and good deeds. So it's kind of a way that we give back to each other for the strength that the city has shown in the light of this tragedy. So um, I hate to say I'm helping a friend out. I'm checking her bike. I picked up her packages. She's headed out on vacation, so that was my one thing that I'm doing today, actually all week. But that is something I'm doing to kind of help out a neighbor. I actually I went down to Bova's. I was passing Bova's on the way. There was a really big line, so I was they like to keep the door closed. So I was like, "Hey guys, can you keep the door closed?" I'm like, "I don't work here," but just trying to help out. They're so busy in there, and it was anyway. That's my story, and that was I have been down to the marathon again. I believe that I did the 20-mile walk for hunger shortly after that. That was the first time that I had been back in kind of a crowd, and that I had been back on the route of the marathon, because the walk for hunger is 20 miles, and it's not like the whole marathon route, obviously, but it's a good portion of the inner city part of it is also part of the marathon route. So that was kind of tough, but it was also like me taking back my power from the incident, and taking, and it made me feel good. I believe I've been back down to the marathon. It's in the last 10 years. I think I've only gone one other time. I don't think it was the next year. It may have been. No, I don't think I was ready. I'm not sure, but when did I go? I don't remember. I'm sorry. I know I've been back, but I don't remember what year it was. But that was that it's tough. It's tough to go down there. It's tough to be down there. I have been on the street. They do have a really beautiful memorial, and that is right in front of where across from where I was. It's on the site of near the site of the second incident. So I did, like I said, I did get interviewed. I did have some footage of the time. I had watched it. There was I didn't see the gentleman on there who committed the atrocity. And then later on down the line, when they did find them, again, the whole city shut down for quite a while in Watertown while they were searching for these guys. And they were the most wanted people in the city. I think next to the Boston Strangler, they probably are. They were like Public Enemy number 1 and 2. So, but that's it. That's it. So the Boston Marathon is back. We've got our daffodils out, which is a big tradition. I may or may not go out on Monday. I do have the day off because it is a holiday here in the city. So anybody living in Boston, it's Patriots Day. So Marathon Monday is a holiday. So we do get it off work, or a lot of people get it off work. So I may go down there. But sorry, my 5-minute live turned into 15 minutes, but it's quite a personal story for me, and it's yeah. If you guys have any questions about anything, please feel free to send me an email. My information is in the about section, or you can make a comment. Please thumbs up, like, subscribe if you are not already subscribed, and of course you can leave anything here or in the community page. So that is my story and how how I have been living with PTSD for the last 10 years because of two a-holes who, I don't know, wanted to make some kind of statement. But and poor Martin Richard, I think, would have been 18, 19 this year, graduated from high school, running off to college, living his best life, and oh, it's terrible. um hmm. All right, that is it for now. I will yeah, I will talk to you later. Thank you so much for listening to my story. I appreciate you. Again, don't forget to like, subscribe, and please comment. And again, if you have any questions about my experience, or if you want to know anything about Boston, please let me know. Thanks so much. Have a great day. I'll see you later.